Ladies and gentlemen, hello, you are watching TTV News, some latest events in the province. And now we come into details. Ladies and gentlemen, recently Vietnam Farmland Round Committee of the province had a meeting between 5 candidates for the 15th National Assembly, the election unit number 2, and more than 100 voters representing the departments of Hoa Thanh and Hiệp Thăng Ward.
At the meeting, voters heard biographies and summary statements of action plans of candidates for the National Assembly, including Mr. Hoa Thanh, member of the Provincial Party Executive Committee, deputy head of the delegation in charge of the Provincial National Assembly deputies, Mr. Nguyễn Mạnh Tiến, vice head of the Foreign Affairs Committee of the National Assembly, Ms. Phan Thị Thùy Vân, vice chairwoman of the Provincial Women's Union, Mr. Trần Hữu Hậu, member of the Provincial Lawyers Association, Deputy General Secretary of Vietnam Cultural Association, Mr. Lê Phương Hồng, representative of Cao Đài System. Voters expressed high support and confidence in all the candidates introduced in this term because of their qualifications, knowledge, current work positions, ensuring good performance of National Assembly deputies.
And also the candidates for the Provincial People Council deputies. The 2021-2026 term had a meeting with voters in some localities.
Last time, the candidates for the Provincial People's Council deputies, the 2021-2026 term, belonging to the 4th electoral unit, had a meeting with voters in Đông Thuận and Hưng Thuận communes, Trảng Bàng Thảo. The electoral unit number 4 elects deputies to the Provincial People's Council for the term of 2021-2026, including 6 communes and wards of Trảng Bàng Thảo, An Tịnh, Gia Bình, Gia Lộc, Lộc Hưng, Hưng Thuận, and Đông Thuận. The number of elected delegates is 4. The number of candidates is 7. Voters in Đông Thuận and Hưng Thuận communes highly appreciated the action program of the candidates, as well as the quality of the candidates for the Provincial People's Council for the term of 2021-2026. Last time, the Steering Committee for the Epidemic Prevention and Control of Cao Giàu District met to deploy the task of preventing and controlling COVID-19. At the meeting, delegates listened to the report on the prevention and control of COVID-19 epidemic in the district from March 1st to the present. There are plans to deploy vaccination against COVID-19 to ensure the medical issues for the election of deputies to 15 National Assembly and People's Councils at all levels for the term of 2021-2026. Accordingly, Cao Giàu District implemented the vaccination against COVID-19, giving priority to groups of health workers, groups participating in epidemic prevention, groups of military and police forces, particularly in terms of healthcare for the election of deputies to the 15th National Assembly and People's Council at all levels for the term of 2021-2026. The delegates said that the polling stations across the district should be arranged appropriately, ensuring adequate antiseptic water, masks, and body temperature meters, creating good conditions for voters to participate in the election.
Recently, the office of the Provincial Party Committee and FICO Tay Ninh Joint Stock Committee had a signing ceremony for coordination to implement the social security and sport exchange.
Through the activity of social security, with the determination to join hands to make a better life, show concern for difficult situations that need help from the community, and build the beautiful and sentimental homeland of Tay Ninh. At the same time, the signing between the two units helped tighten solidarity through sports exchanges for physical development. On this occasion, FICO Tay Ninh Joint Stock Company awarded a symbolic bond offering the funding for social security and sport exchanges to the office of the Provincial Party Committee with the amount of 100 million Vietnam dong. Also, at the signing ceremony, it awarded a symbolic bond with the amount of 200 million Vietnam dong to the youth of the province to continue the work of lighting the border patrol with solar lights.
Ladies and gentlemen, with the determination to implement the dual goal to firmly maintain the achievements against the epidemic during the last time in the province, depending on the epidemic status, the Bronze People Committee and the Steering Committee for Epidemic Prevention and Control have had appropriate guidance in response to the epidemic. Up to now, the epidemic has entered phase 4, with the risk of an epidemic outbreak in inland and border areas. Facing such situation, the Bronze People Committee and the Bronze Steering Committee for Epidemic Prevention and Control have directed and drastically implemented measures to prevent and control epidemic at the highest level, prevent epidemic from entering and outbreaking in the community.
According to the Provincial Steering Committee for Epidemic Prevention and Control, Tay Ninh currently has two risks of epidemic outbreak. The first is the epidemic situation in the country, when localities are continuously recording COVID-19 cases of infection in the community. Secondly, the epidemic situation in countries in the region is still complicated, affecting the psychology of people working and living abroad who want to return to Vietnam but do not want to implement medical isolation measures. Although the province has not recorded any cases of infection in community, however, Tay Ninh is at very high risk. It can be said that at present, Tay Ninh is facing two great threats of the epidemic. Firstly, it is from inland with many cases of infection in the community, and secondly, the risk comes from Cambodia, when in the past time our neighboring country has blocked many areas and cities to serve the epidemic prevention control, especially cases of infection in some localities bordering the province is increasing. The Provincial People's Committee and the Provincial Steering Committee for Epidemic Prevention and Control have issued many decisions and documents directing localities to rectify and improve the effectiveness of epidemic prevention and control. Especially with the highest political determination, it does not ignore, is not subjective and lack vigilance, but does not make people panic and worry about the epidemic, ensuring the successful implementation of dual goal and maintain the results against the epidemic in the past. Regarding the control of peripheral situation and the protection of border area, the Provincial Border Guard Command has coordinated with the military forces in the province to increase and supplement forces to be on duty at anti-epidemic posts across the borderline. Regarding the domestic situation, during the past time with good epidemic control, no cases of infection have been recorded in the community, so there has been a subjective and neglectful mentality of the people. The province has also directed localities to raise the level of domestic epidemic control, in which it emphasized the implementation of 5 key by the people, minimizing unnecessary activities of crowded people. In case of necessity, it must have an advisor by the health sector and the agency or units in charge of organization, which shall take responsibility before the law for the implementation of requirements and conditions for ensuring safety of anti-epidemic. To reduce the scale, save time and strictly ensure epidemic prevention control measures for religious rituals. The Provincial People's Committee required people to seriously practice wearing masks as leaving their house. At the same time, it also directed localities and functional forces to strengthen inspection and supervision of the wearing of masks, to keep distance in public places, impose administrative sanctions for not wearing masks in public places, and violations of anti-epidemic measures. From May 5th, Tay Ninh has also suspended the business of services of karaoke, bars, discotheque, internet business, electronic games, movie theaters, massage and sauna activities to ensure epidemic prevention and control. Although the epidemic situation is still complicated, many strains of the virus have been found to have higher levels of infection and danger, but we should not be panicked. But each of us needs to seriously implement 5 key especially wearing a mask, restricting to crowded places as not really necessary that can protect the health of ourselves, family, and the whole community. In particular, people do not organize the transportation or conceal people who illegally enter or exit, and at the same time boldly denounce and inform authorities about violations in epidemic prevention.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's all for today TTV News. Thank you for joining with us and see you next time.